I'd like to talk about something different for a change, and I'm not all about flattening global education. And one of the things I spent some time, about a couple of years, exploring and thinking about was actually evolution theory. And one of the things that, again, strikes me is that, yes, Darwin had a brilliant insight, and really wasn't a brilliant insight because in many respects you could argue that the idea of evolution goes as far back as the Greek philosophers, and he just provided some clarity and evidence to support it. However, it astounds me that science doesn't try to evolve the idea further, and I think maybe some folks do. And what I mean by that is, Darwin came up with the idea of natural selection. Natural selection has to be one of the most oxymoronic phrases you could ever think about. Natural selection. I mean, for one, it's hard to even grasp the idea of what natural selection means. I mean, it's like taking two words, and putting them together, two things that mean completely different things, and putting them together, and creating a completely new meaning for that. And there's a word for that, and I can't think what the freaking word is, and I'm an English teacher. When you do that, it begins with an A. Maybe I'm sure someone will tell me. But anyway, wouldn't it be better? Well, let's take a step back. So, let's look at evolution. And evolution really means pretty much change. And change happens as a result of either a mutation in the genetics or random mutation. But it's kind of funny because these random mutations happen every so often on a predetermined scale. So is that really random? Number two is it happens because of, they'll say, the environment, changes in the environment. And changes in the environment can be everything from physical changes, temperature, so on, as a result from some catastrophe. You could say, a volcano or whatever can change, plate tectonics and you becoming an island, and so on. Or it can change because of what changes within that environment. So new predator, new plants, and so on and so on and so on. But all of those things, what they have in common is really their information changes. A change in temperature is an information change. Instead of being at this temperature, it's now at a different temperature. And we know that, for example, DNA, they say it's information about who you are. So, look, we got information there on the DNA, and we got information there on the environment. Everything you can define as, in regards to natural selection, you can really define as changes in information. Now, you say, okay, I can buy into that. Now, why did some things evolve and some things don't evolve? It's one of the questions I ask myself. What is it? I look at a cockroach. A cockroach has been pretty much a cockroach ever since a cockroach became a cockroach. A heck of a long time. Same thing with a shark, and turtles, and alligators. Now, alligators changed a little bit, and they became, or crocodiles changed a little bit and became alligators, I should say. I missed a mistake there. But, but they're pretty much the same thing. Yet other species, like humans or mice, well, mice have been pretty much mice, but we evolved out of a similar ancestor of mice. mice-like ancestor, common ancestor of ours. What is the, what caused that evolution change? And if you think of, we have information. If you think that maybe there exists an information threshold, think of it as two, for sense of simplicity, two parallel lines. And those two parallel lines ultimately, as long as the information stays within those two parallel lines, change isn't going to happen. But the moment you hit the threshold, or maybe it doesn't even have to be two, it could be one. You exist here. You have the threshold. I think of two parallel lines because of hot and cold. There's two extremes of the threshold. And the moment you hit that threshold, then ultimately one of two things happen. Either you go extinct or you adapt. That's it. That's my idea. What I call it information design. Throw away natural selection, and redefine it and call it information design, because ultimately we are defined by information. Our DNA is information. The environment, things that impact us, information. Our daily events is information. And all of this stuff, if you look at epigenetics and everything else, ultimately influences. My diet is going to ultimately, potentially influence my children's and so on. And there's proof on that. It's information. So natural selection really doesn't go far enough, I don't believe. And we should change it into something that makes more sense and something that's very easy to understand. It's very easy to understand to describe things as really information, and you exist within this information threshold. If the information goes outside that threshold, too hot or too cold, you die. If there's a predator, that's an information change. If there is a disease, guess what? That's an information change. Everything's going to impact this threshold of yours. That's it. Pretty simple. Information design.